Let's start talking about some games, and we will start with yes, the Denver Broncos, who crazy because Monday night they're playing a game where I believe what is it, a tie game late in the game. They went into overtime, of course,
There's about 17 different ways the Bengals could have won that game, and they didn't do any of them.
and there was a scenario late in Monday Night Football where the Broncos could have missed the playoffs entirely. Fast
Sure.
forward 6 days later, and they are the number one seed in the AFC, and it looks like it will be Peyton Manning leading them into the playoffs. Manning replaced in effect of Brock Osweiler, guiding and helped guide the Broncos to a 27-20 win over the Chargers on Sunday. The win, coupled with surprise Patriots loss, means that the Denver Broncos have home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. Greg, so that's the good news for the Broncos. The bigger question, though, and I think it's going to be the dominant narrative as we head toward the playoffs, did Gary Kubiak make the right decision turning his team back over to the Sheriff?
That's that's an interesting way to put it because Peyton Manning, on the face of it, didn't do a lot that was impressive in this game. He went 5 for 9, 69 yards. I didn't think Brock Osweiler was playing poorly at all. He was averaging over 10 yards per attempt. If you looked at the three turnovers that he had, one was on a drop, another was on a pass where someone hit his arm in his back, when he was thrown, and the other was on a blindside blitz. Maybe a guy like Peyton Manning would pick up that blitz. He would know it was coming, and he wouldn't have fumbled the ball like Osweiler. But I do think it's the right decision ultimately because I think their ceiling of winning a possible Super Bowl is still higher with Peyton Manning. And as crazy as it is, as a football fan, I just think it was the right decision. Because how great is this? I mean, just going into the playoffs, this is a fascinating storyline. We thought Peyton Manning might never play in the NFL again. Instead, he's got home field advantage in the playoffs. Maybe this is his last season, and he's going to try to go out a champion.
Yeah, I think the world of Peyton Manning. He's not always my favorite player, but I think we're all happy that he gets to go out. He has the opportunity to go out with a bang instead of a whimper. He's not coming off the bench behind Brock Osweiler. I have to imagine that Gary Kubiak's going to stay with him. That's what this move does.
Yeah, Kubiak did not announce after the game who his quarterback will be, but it would be stunning, I think, to go back to Osweiler at this
I
point.
mean, what Kubiak has done so well is that he never closed the door on Peyton Manning's return through all the other stuff that happened. And, a couple weeks ago we were saying, oh, when Osweiler is in there, that run game really came to life. But the reverse was true today. So I'm not sure you can really say that it's because of one quarterback or the other. But he gave them a jolt today.
Right.
Something changed the minute he came
He
on
said
the
it
field.
himself. Manning said after the game, and on the subject of Manning and him going out in a better way, even if they get wiped out in the divisional playoffs, the moment where he gets to come on the field and the entire crowd at Mile High is deafeningly loud, screaming for him, and he gets to lead them to a comeback win. He had one last nice moment. So even if it goes to hell, at least it doesn't end with him on the bench behind a guy that was drafted to replace him. But I think ultimately this team did get a jolt. Manning said it himself. Like, I don't think Brock Osweiler did anything necessarily wrong to lead to me being in the game, which is another discussion, how this even happened. But it just seemed like the team blocked a little better, ran a little harder with me on the field, and whatever, the way that worked out for me, worked out for the Broncos, and a victory with me at
And let's
center.
not forget, it's one of the best pre-snap quarterbacks in the league who does call line adjustments and all sorts. You mentioned in your post that you saw a little bit of a boost on that front.
Well, the minute he came in the game, they went on an 80-yard drive that was mostly running, and there was two plays, especially the touchdown, where he clearly, he changed the play at the line of scrimmage. He ran away from the blitz, and they ran for the score. So that's what you get with Peyton Manning. And Kubiak said after the game, I just thought the team was kind of looking around for a leader. That's what he said, or looking around for someone to take charge. And he even said to the halftime, to Tracy Wolfson of CBS, coming out of halftime, I told, Brock needs to basically take control of his job. So the first series of the second half, C.J. Anderson fumbles the ball. Brock Osweiler didn't do anything, and then Osweiler gets the boot. So tough luck for him on a day where they had 500 yards of offense. You got me thinking, Dan, when you're saying, circle back to last week, late in Week 17, on Monday Night Football, what could have happened? Flash forward to 5 minutes left in this game, well after Peyton Manning was in the game, well after they took the lead and then gave it up. It's a tie ball game. Phillip Rivers has the ball. There's under 5 minutes to go. The Chiefs are on their way and have just about won the game against Oakland. At that minute, with 5 minutes left, it's a tie game. Phillip Rivers has the ball, and the Broncos were very much at risk of falling to the 5 seed. So this win, which was really set up by the defense making stop after stop after stop when the Broncos turned the ball over, and then the Broncos got a turnover late. This last 5 minutes of the game, it's monstrous. They would be on the road this week in the playoffs if not for it.
Manning, 5 of 9, 69 yards. He didn't throw enough for us to really get an idea if he can still push the ball downfield with any accuracy or any zip. I don't know if we saw enough today, so we'll probably have to wait for 2 weeks to see if he can still throw the ball. But, yeah, I don't think there's any doubt, Wes, that we're going to see Peyton Manning. It wouldn't make – as stunning as it was to see him come on the field out of nowhere in the third quarter, it would be even stranger if then they went back to Brock Osweiler. I think this is Peyton's team again.
I do, too. And you mentioned on our NFL Now hit that the AFC playoff picture is wide open, and the Broncos are the definitive example. In the second half of the season, they have a +6 point differential. That is not dominant in any way. Brian Billick has his things called toxic whatever.
Don't get him started on that stuff.
There's some formula, and the Broncos are the lowest-ranked AFC playoff team in that. And their quarterback was a liability for most of the year.
And when we say the AFC is wide open, it's not because there's 6 teams that are peaking right now. It's because anyone could win this. There is not a dominant team.
And this will help Peyton Manning or any quarterback. Ronnie Hillman and C.J. Anderson, 15 carries each, totaling 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. And C.J. Anderson all of a sudden looks like the guy that was shredding defenses last year. So the Broncos, number 1 seed, but a total wild card. We'll see what happens with them. Any final thoughts, guys?
No, you mentioned Anderson. Not only that, he might have changed the entire AFC playoff race. If he doesn't fumble the ball there, maybe Peyton Manning never gets his team back for the rest of the season.
Great mistake by him.
Saucy.